Welcome to the All Things Property podcast with me, Simon Bacon.
And me, Ian Sadler.
So today, Ian, we're going to be talking about moving in and out of a rental, the checklist to avoid deposit disputes. Welcome to the All Things Property podcast with me, Simon Bacon of Preferential Properties. Every week, Ian Sadler and I will delve into all things property. We'll guide you through with friendly, no-nonsense advice. So most tenancy issues don't actually happen at the end. They're caused by things that weren't done properly at the beginning. We've talked in previous episodes about the checkout process and about deposits, etc. But what we're going to talk through today is just that checklist to try and avoid problems happening at the end of the tenancy, and why, if you get it right at the beginning, you can avoid those kind of issues. So in terms of move-in day, what's it really important to make sure tenants have access to? I'm not talking about the documentation of the legislative issues here, but I don't know, things like, I'll give you a clue on this one.
I don't need a clue.
Don't you? Go on then.
Well, the most important document they need is an inventory.
Yeah.
Manage them at the property.
Yeah.
Extensive list of photographs, as many as you like.
Mm-hmm.
The usual things: ovens, fridge freezers, freezer boxes, pet hate, gardens, front to back, shower cubicles, all those things. The more photographs, the better. And the tenant giving it to, that's what the process of what they do with it.
Yeah.
And explain afterwards.
Okay, so that's 6 out of 10. Anything you want to try and get your mark a little higher?
Details of the utilities.
A 7 out of 10. Yes, well done.
I'll settle for 7, I think.
Will you?
Yeah, that's a good score for me.
Mediocre. I'd have perhaps tried to get...
Anyway, moving
8.
on.
So keys.
They're going to need those.
They are, and a good record of those keys as well, because often you get to a point where
I know
the keys you give out are not the keys that come back.
Well, if you have a scan of your keys, 2 copies, if one's the tenant, get him to sign the other one and take that back with you. Scan it onto your software, permanent record.
Absolutely. It's what we do.
You say that, but do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So moving on then from that, you know, we are talking about move-in day, making sure they've got, records of the keys, who the utilities are, what the meter readings are. They have an inventory, they have the photographs. That's really important. If you give all of that information out at the beginning of the tenancy, then, I joked about your 6 out of 10, but you're almost creating a 7 with a bit of help, but you're then creating an environment whereby the tenant is 10 out of 10 because he's got everything that they need, and you as a letting agent have got everything you need to make sure this was provided at the beginning. So let's move forward. What about, again, looking at that checklist to avoid disputes, tenant responsibilities during the tenancy? How many tenancies? In fact, let me go back one. The inventory. The ingoing inventory.
Not many is the answer.
How
to
many?
The question.
Okay, so that's the answer. Anyone know what the question was going to be?
I do.
Go on then.
How many?
Give me the question.
How many tenants? How many tenants get back a signed copy of the inventory within the timescale stipulated in the tenancy agreement?
Yeah, that was exactly my question, Ian.
10 out of 10 then.
Very good. Yes.
But if your tenancy agreement doesn't, it should give you a specific number of days to get that back to the agent. If not, the document handed to them will be taken as a final document.
What timescale do you give?
7 days.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. 5 days.
I taught him all he knows.
Yes. So, in terms of that, what's the benefit of that, Ian?
Proof of condition. It's called an inventory and a schedule of condition. Photographs of the old days, I go back to the old days again, it was just purely written, wasn't it? And how speculative can a written report be? It's photographs of an oven is a photograph of an oven. If a tenant signs for it, that's it. 3 freezer boxes unbroken at the start of the tenancy.
You really like these freezer boxes, don't you?
I do.
Okay.
It's only because I had somebody own up to it the other day. I'm afraid I've broken 3 freezer boxes. £139.
Wow. How much is a new fridge?
Double that probably.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So anyway, we're off the subject. So the issue is, make sure, as a tenant, make sure that you do check the inventory and go through it and highlight any areas that you feel are incorrect. Because why is that important, Ian?
Well, if they don't document the changes or amendments they want to be made, then they have no proof if they bring it up at a later day.
It's too late at the end of the tenancy to say, well, it was like that when I moved in, when the inventory says something different and they haven't challenged it. Absolutely. So then you talk about during the tenancy, and again, we've highlighted some of these issues around inspections and about promptly reporting repairs, etc. Why is it important that the tenant does report and look after the property during the tenancy when it comes to the moving out? Again, in terms of that, to avoid dispute, damage or disputes at the end of a tenancy, a tenant has got to look after the property whilst they're in it and promptly report repairs. So again, I can give you examples where we've moved a tenant out and the tenant said, oh, it's been like that for ages, I just haven't reported it.
So would you charge the tenant in that respect?
Well, if it's damage, yes.
In what way
Absolutely.
Damage from water, a leak?
No, not damage from water leak, but a door's got damaged, an external door's been damaged. I don't know, because of something's happened. They say, oh yeah, it's been like that for years. Why are you now saying I'm responsible for that? Why are you charging me or going to charge me for that as damage? So it is really important. What we're trying to do here is say to people, when you move out, you can't say it was like that at the beginning of the tenancy if you haven't documented it. And you can't then go, well, it's always been like that, or it's been like that for the past X number of months or X number of years, and that's not my fault. So, for example, your freezer drawers, well, yeah, but it happened during the tenancy. Well, that's not my fault.
How's it not their fault?
Well, that's what they're saying. It is their fault, isn't it? If they say, "Oh, that happened because the drawer got stuck,"
and why did it get stuck?
Exactly, it got stuck because it hadn't defrosted the freezer.
Exactly.
So, ongoing care during the tenancy. The more you care for the property during the tenancy, the more chance you've got of avoiding deposit disputes at the end of the tenancy. So, preparing for move-out day. What do you do? Do you send them anything for that?
Yeah, I send them a A4 list of move-out notes detailing what I expect them to do prior to handing back the keys.
Okay. Move-out checklist is available as a link at the end of the episode if you are interested. So, I think one of the important things preparing for move-out day properly is don't leave it to the last minute. Don't leave it to the last day. If you're going to have to get stuff cleaned or you need someone to come in to do something, whether it's an oven clean or do the gardens, or you're doing the gardens yourself, don't leave it to the last day and then go, well, it was raining on the day that I moved out, so I couldn't cut the grass. Agree?
I think, yeah, no, 100%. I think corners tend to be cut on move-out cleaning, so I not only give them the sheet of notes, but I also offer them any assistance they might need: gardening, general cleaning, oven clean.
What, you go, oh, do it for them?
Yeah, I charge a price, £5 an hour. I'll clean their ovens for them.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, anybody who's interested, Ian Sadler does end of tenancy cleans at £5 an hour, which, in my opinion, is quite a bargain.
Quite cheap.
I think you could be quite busy over
At my
the
age,
next,
you can get
few
away with doing
months.
that.
Really? Okay.
No, but on a serious note, yes.
£6 an hour.
No.
No.
If you give the tenant an option, I recently offered a guy. I said, listen, cleaning often takes, I'm very subtle with it, which is unusual. Cleaning often takes more time than you think. If you need any help with it, I've got a cleaner who's very reasonable. She'll give you a quote. And he got her in. She gave him a quote. She did it. And it's just, future-proofing the
Yeah.
move
And
out.
that's something that I always think as well, is that, if a tenant says to me, can you recommend a carpet cleaner? And we give them one of our approved carpet cleaner companies, and they go in and clean the carpets, and we go in and do the checkout, and we're thinking, oh, not as good as I would have expected, then you're not going to go back to the tenant and go, oh, you haven't done a good job. They've used a company that is good, and therefore we tend to put that to bed and just go, okay, fair enough, you've done it, because they're using an approved contractor to a certain extent. It mitigates any potential disputes or any potential liability. So yeah, I always think the more help you can offer to tenants is really good. And maybe that's a takeaway for us as well, is that maybe we'll start giving tenants a schedule of perhaps approved contractors to use to help them. So thanks for that, Ian. That's the first in the many episodes that we've done. You give me something that might be useful.
I've been sick during most of them, so
Yeah, absolutely. So what does a final inspection look like? What are you doing? What are you comparing like for like with? How do you do it?
I think you would give a far more detailed answer to this because your processes are.
Well, for our listeners then, let's see how it's done, sort of 6 out of 10, and then I can add the 8 or 9 out of 10.
I don't think I want to go down that route, thank you.
Go on.
I use a system that works for me.
How do you do a move-out inspection? What are you looking at?
I'm looking at, I take a copy of the inventory and explain to tenant, if they haven't sent it back within the first 7 days, that this is the one I sent to you, this will be used. I check the oven, the hob, the extractor hood, fridge, freezer, the bathrooms, and the garden are the main points where you can notice big differences. Then the others would be general cleaning of skirting boards, walls, anything substantiated by photographic evidence.
What's a reasonable expectation in terms of cleaning?
I think it doesn't. The standards of expectations of cleaning don't get met very rarely. I don't. It doesn't take any time. The number of times you walk into property and you've got dust along all the skirting boards, bedrooms, living rooms, hall, everywhere. Takes half an hour to do it, but it's not done, and I'm not ever sure why. But hey,
it is. Cleaning expectations, they should be realistic, reasonable, and not excessive. But they are probably one of the more contentious parts of any move out.
Definitely.
So, but you're right, skirting boards, cobwebs on ceilings, dust and that sort of stuff. That's the fundamental, really, isn't it? In terms of and I always think if you go into a property, I was talking about this to a contractor the other day. They'd done some work, and went in to just check it all been done properly. It was a refurbishment, and I said to them, if you walk into the first room you walk into and you spot things that haven't been done, it builds a picture up, and you're then more inclined to search things out.
Critical, yeah.
Whereas if you walk in and you go around the property and you're thinking, no, this is good, then you're less likely to be quite so critical about every single aspect. Just out of interest, do you do a walk round first as a general walk round, or do you
start the tenancy?
Yeah, no. At the end of the tenancy, when you're doing your move out.
Yeah, I think you have to get an overview and a feel for it first, and then be more specific.
Have you ever been caught out where you've gone in and gone, well, this looks all good, and then actually when you've started going through the inventory, you've gone,
no, you learn that you do it once and you don't do it again.
Yeah, no, definitely. What are the kind of things that you wish landlords wouldn't put into properties in terms of cleaning, from a cleaning perspective?
Carpets in downstairs toilets.
Yes, okay.
Carpets in the hall.
Yeah. Slatted blinds. the vertical blinds.
Oh, you mean Venetian
Yeah,
blinds?
Venetian blinds.
I mean horizontal blinds.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Horizontal, vertical.
Yes, exactly.
5 out of 10 for that one.
The Venetian ones where you have to clean in between.
It's doable. Each one takes you 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, I know. But that's, again, often a one where tenants...
So you have curtains in yours, do you?
No, we do have them. But, it's one where, we often have issues with tenants who say, oh, really, I've got to clean every single slat.
Shower curtains. Would you expect brand new white shower curtain starter tenancy, 2 years later, same shower curtain? Would you expect the tenant to replace that?
Depends whether it's gone really poor. When you think what the costs of a shower curtain is.
Exactly. I would expect them to do it, but if they didn't, I'd buy it from the landlord.
Yes. Yeah.
That's kind of wear and tear, isn't it?
Yes.
The whole subject is very subjective, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. We have tenants who will replace a shower curtain
because their cleanliness standards are higher than
yes,
or hygiene standards.
Yes, absolutely. But if a tenant leaves it, often it is it's wear and tear.
Toilets.
Yes. Do you need to go?
No, I've been, thank you.
Okay.
But yeah, cleaning toilets is another one they don't seem to like.
No.
Generalisation, I understand, but
so you actually go again, use the ingoing inventory and the photos, and you check it off to make sure that everything is as it was, and any discrepancies. Because the way that I tend to deal with a lot of the checkout inspections will be actually these are the discrepancies, not costed, but what are the discrepancies? What are the things that are different to the ingoing inventory? And then you strip those out and go, okay, which of those are fair wear and tear and which are damages? And then you can start to put costs next to them. So that's the approach we tend to do. In terms of deposit return timelines, what do you work to?
I normally get them back within 7 days. I know that's within the guidelines, but as quickly as possible.
Yeah. There are very specific guidelines in terms of returning the uncontested part of a deposit and notify the tenant of any deductions you are seeking to keep. But what I would say, and this is something that does happen, I find, on regular occasions, where you write to the tenant outlining what the dilapidations are, setting out what your costs are. Do you attach photos of any deductions you're seeking or not?
Well, you need proof, so yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so we always do the photos, and then a tenant sometimes will come back and say, I'm not happy with that, so I'm going to go to dispute. And what we then end up having to do is go back to them and say, look, the whole process is communication. So what is it you don't agree with? Because if you go to dispute straight away, the arbitration service will say, have you made any effort to discuss this or negotiate? And if you haven't, they won't even consider it. So it is very much a case of, from a tenant's perspective and a landlord's perspective, it's not written in stone. There is an element of negotiation and there is an element of subjectivity to it. What, as letting agents, I think we're trying to do is to be fair and reasonable. And, I think sometimes tenants think we're here to, we go with the view of how much money can we actually deduct from a deposit. Whereas it's completely wrong, because what we want to do is give it all back, because we don't want the difficulties that come with
exactly. But there was a time where the agent could make a decision on behalf of the landlord to deduct without agreement from the tenant anything they wanted to, and we're still living under that perception from a tenant that the landlord can and will do that, whereas they can't do that.
No, absolutely. So if disputes do arise, how are they resolved?
Well, ideally without going to dispute, because that involves reams of paperwork, hours of evidence giving on both sides normally. So a resolution beforehand to try and get a three-way conversation going between tenant, agent and landlord to find an amicable solution.
Yeah, definitely. And if it does end up any dispute, it's assessed based on evidence. So, and I would say for everybody, be aware of that. It is any deductions from deposits are based on evidence, photographs and comparisons between move in and move out. And actually, if you communicate well at the beginning, communicate well at the end, and communicate well during the tenancy, you are much less likely to end up having disputes at the end of a tenancy. So, upshot to this, a smooth move in leads to a smooth move out, and that's what avoids most deposit disputes. If you want sight of any of these checklists, then please do click the link at the end of the episode and you'll be able to pull them down. Thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the All Things Property podcast. If you found this episode useful, don't forget to subscribe, like and share. These things really help us reach the people who need to hear this advice. See you next week.